Welcome back. Well, let's see if we can do anything more useful with this ship than attach it to the magnet. You can see there's a small green indicator on this gauge that shows how high the ship currently is. So maybe if we can get the ship to line up with that indicator, we can do something more useful with it. Now if we move the slider right, left, left, right, right, we get 5 lights. So let's see what the result of that is. Ah, now something's happening. Whether there's any good reason for that thing to open up so flashy, I don't know. In fact, I know there is no good reason for that, other than rule of cool, I guess. Same goes for these automatically expanding stairs. Means that we can get into this ship. It seems that this thing was used to get to that other structure over there. Why Sirrus wanted to go there, we don't know yet. Let's see what happens. Nothing. Well, that's not an awful lot. Must be something else we need to do before we can use this ship. At this point, not really clear what it is, though. Seems like the only way out of here is this ladder. Which does make you wonder, how did Sirrus get out of here before he made that ladder? Because he came down through the pipe, and maybe he could have climbed up through the pipe again if his rope was long enough, but as far as we could tell, that would have just taken him back up. And not to the middle area here. Well, maybe he found some other way to climb up, which is not so obvious from down there. Maybe you could have climbed up through this hole or something, along the rock wall. I don't know. Here we see this rock that was tied up to the chain from down below. We see it from the other side. And it seems that this is the garden that Atreus described in his journal. This place's only source of food. It looks like Sirrus has been using it as a work area. Let's look at this rock first.
Impossible. Every scientific principle I know tells me these rocks shouldn't be floating. And yet, somehow, they are. Don't know how you did it, Father. But if you can write it, I can certainly use it.
Yes, these floating rocks certainly are a puzzle. How can they exist? And yet I am more willing to accept that than I'm willing to accept the idea that Sirrus could build all this equipment by himself without resources. Okay, let's not get stuck on that. let's check out this workspace over here, if indeed it is a workspace, which it does appear to be, as well as the garden. You can see that there are some pretty big roots going along these columns here, so I can accept the idea that Sirrus used those roots as a source of firewood. However, I just don't see that when he first arrived here, when he made that encampment we saw upstairs, he hadn't gotten here yet. So where did he get the firewood for his campfire back then? It's a mystery. Unfortunately, one that the game provides no answers to. Well, let's check over here. We have... looks like a telescope. And it is a telescope. Seems like he's using the crystals as lenses. It's looking at that other structure. The one the ship was pointed at.
Has to be fake. Has to be. But will getting to it allow me to finally reach the ground? Have to know. Have to get over there.
Okay, it seems that Sirrus wants to get to that other structure because he wants to try and reach the ground. Well, the reason for that, I think, is pretty obvious. He thinks that Atris, when Atris linked out of this place, dropped his linking book through the clouds to dispose of it, to make this place into a prison age. And that would seem to be a very likely hypothesis, I think. So Sirrus is hoping that he can find the linking book if he can get to the ground. Okay, let's see, what do we have here? It looks like a miniature version of the conductors, as well as a miniature version of the electromagnet, and a small piece of the floating rocks.
Remarkable. No change to its molecular structure, no buildup of illumination inside. As long as the crystal remains grounded, electricity just passes straight through it. Interesting.
Now, if we're meant to take what Sirrus just said here literally, that pretty much means that the crystals, while grounded, act as a room temperature superconductor, considered by many to be the holy grail of modern science. If we can actually produce a room temperature superconductor, it would completely revolutionize the world. But we can't. Typically, superconductors can only exist at temperatures very close to absolute zero. So, it seems that this age harbors a hidden treasure that Atris would have been very interested in had he known it was here. The wheel on this thing. We can turn it to generate electricity by friction. Which seems to get stored in the crystal and causes this illumination that we also see on the conductors here. Well, let's see what happens if we flip this switch. The electricity drains away. What happens if we turn the wheel now? The electricity is no longer stored in the crystal, but instead goes to the miniature electromagnet, pulling the floating rock towards it. This is basically a small-scale version of what's happening to the ship when we turn on the big electromagnet. It seems that Sirrus has been doing some small-scale experiments. We also see some assorted equipment, some cogs and length of wire. And some other stuff. As well as a journal. A journal which we'll read in the next video. So I'll see you next time.